Thanks a ton for watching, guys, and please like and subscribe for more custom furniture builds.
Of a bunch of custom pieces I'm building for a gentleman that lives over in Fargo. And this is one of those opportunities that a woodworker dreams of, where you get a client who is either moving into a new house or building a new house, and they give you kind of full reign and full freedom on what you're allowed to build for them. And for this gentleman, I'm going to be building the largest coffee table I've made, as well as 2 fireplace mantles, a end table, and then a bar for his basement. And all of it's going to come out of this gorgeous wood that was cut from the same tree that's locally sourced in Fargo, North Dakota. So there's some kind of a cool background behind all of it, and I can't wait to finish all these and show you what it looks like. All right, guys, I've got this beautiful piece of highly figured cottonwood here, and this tree was locally sourced in Fargo, like I may have mentioned earlier. And I love everything about this except for the mill marks, whether it was from when the tree itself was cut down or when they cut it down into slabs. But there's a big gouge in the front side of it there. And what I'm going to try and do is match the contour of the live edge and kind of make a mock live edge where it was cut out in that front corner. And there's multiple ways to do this, but with a slab this thick, my jigsaw isn't quite, I don't have a long enough blade for it, so I'm gonna use my Sawzall. I'm gonna cut that contour out, and then I'm gonna use a sander with really aggressive grit, or even my grinder, and I'm going to kind of shape that contour into the same angle or bevel as the natural live edge has, in hopes that it looks a lot more natural and not like somebody went and gouged it. So that's what I'm gonna do first. Then I'm gonna square off both edges of this slab and inset some C-channel.
So here's a closer look at that gouge mark that I was talking about. It just looks like a blade of some sort had gone right through here for whatever reason. So I kind of marked out with a pencil where I want to taper that line off to, and then I'm going to go ahead and try and cut it out and then shape it so that it looks natural. But look at all the figure on this slab. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm excited to get this one all finished up. So you can kind of see what I've got after that very first cut. Really rough, still a lot of shaping I need to do with the sander, but we're getting onto the right path. I'm going to try and dull off that pointed edge too. Up next, I just need to square off all the edges. So I use my track saw for this, and I start on one edge, make a cut that I think is relatively square. Since you don't have any straight edges to reference off of, it can be difficult, but once you get one edge cut, then you can measure over with a tape measure so that your ends are both parallel. This took multiple passes, and I still didn't have the depth to get through all of it, so I finished it off with a quick handsaw here, as well as my flush trim bit on the router. So I used my router and Festool guide for the first time here to channel out the C-channel slots or mortises, and I love using this C-channel to keep these slabs flat, especially these larger ones. They tend to want to cup on you over time, so C-channel is a great way to try and keep them flat for a longer period of time. I have to say that that Festool system worked absolutely great, but you can easily do this with a regular palm router and a straight edge. I got that rail set up, and I just wanted to try it out on this. Really happy with how it worked. I got nice straight even cuts, and here you can see the finished product. I just used 3 bolts to hold it in place. And up next are the legs. For this particular build, we wanted to build these steel rectangular tubing legs with a bottom shelf incorporated in it. So I made a rectangular style leg, then I added in this piece of 1/4 inch flat stock material to use as the bottom shelf support. And up next, I like to keep the slab upside down so I can get my leg layout all perfect. You want your gaps and your spacing to be the same on each side so everything remains square. It can be a little bit trickier with live edges on each side, but if you have two parallel ends, which we made with the track saw, you'll be able to line these up perfectly. And here you can see I elongated the holes on these legs as well. That just allows the wood to move. Another tool I should highlight here is this Rockler drill press. It's a portable system. Works fantastic for doing these threaded inserts. Keeps your holes perfectly at 90 degrees or whatever angle you want them to be at. I use it all the time for threaded inserts. And then I add a little bit of glue. CA glue works well. Not 100% necessary, but when you're working with softer woods like this, I do like to add a little bit more support with the glue so you don't have to worry about these threaded inserts potentially ripping out when you tighten the bolts down for the legs. So I didn't show the monotonous sanding process, but I start with 80 grit, and then I go to 100, then to 120, and then I finish with 150 if I'm using Rubio monocoat, which is the case here. They don't want you to sand any further than 150 because they claim that the Rubio doesn't bond as well to super smooth surfaces. So keep that in mind if you use Rubio, which is the product that I use almost primarily on my wood projects because it just leaves this beautiful natural finish. You don't get a sheen of any sort. It just stays matte. It stays natural. It doesn't look plastic or glossy. It just looks like the raw wood, and it just complements all of the grain. So I really, really love it. I'm not sponsored by them, but I truly stand by and love their product.